Hi, my name is Chris Holton Jablonski, and it is my great joy and privilege to serve you as your minister. And we are coming to you with another one of our From Your Minister Junior editions. Most of the production team has the day off, but I have my wonderful sidekick here. Mailbag! Kicking it with an ice cream cone. So we are about to go camping for a little bit, but we wanted to get you this special story which actually ties into next week's worship. And it's an old story, a story from the Buddha, actually. And it goes like this. So once upon a time, there was a family that lived on a houseboat. And it was difficult times, and they were very poor. And one season was incredibly rainy. Rained and it rained and it rained with seeming like no end. Finally, the first kind of clear, beautiful day, the young girl of the family went out for a walk, and she said, "Mom, it looks like it's finally cleared up. Can I please go for a walk?" And the mother said, "Of course you can." And she went on this beautiful walk, and the sun was shining, and they had that kind of full, humid, kind of delicious smell, and she saw all of the plants were bursting and beautiful. And she turned a corner, and she saw this very strange looking thing off in the distance. It looked like it was an animal maybe caught and struggling, and she got closer to it, and she could see that this beautiful, beautiful goose, a golden goose, something she had never seen before, was caught in a fisherman's net. And she came over closer to it, and it was a little startled when she came closer, and she showed it that she was going to be calm and that she was a friend. And she slowly, gently undid all of the tangles and cut the goose free. And the goose stretched out its wings when it was out, and it said, "Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, little girl. I'm so grateful. As a token of my gratitude, I'm going to give you one of my golden feathers." And the goose looked around and found the biggest, most beautiful golden feather and plucked it with her beak and gave it to the little girl. And she said, thank you, golden goose." And she ran home with the goose feather, the golden goose feather in her hand, and she showed her mother. She said, "Look, look, look." And she told her the whole story about seeing the goose and it was caught. And her mother said, "This will fetch us so much money in the market. This is amazing. Thank you so much." And sure enough, the next day, the mother went to the market and she showed everyone the golden goose feather. And she sold it for more money than she used to make in an entire week. And they were so excited. And she said, do you think you can go get more of those golden feathers?" the mother said. And the little girl said, "Well, I don't know. The goose seemed to be my friend. I'll go and I'll ask." And the next day, sure enough, the little girl went, and she went to the same spot, the same area, and she looked around and she found the golden goose. And she thanked the goose again, and she said that they had just made a bunch of money and that their family was in a really difficult place. And could the goose spare another feather? And sure enough, the goose said that she would, and she reached over and she was just about to pluck out a feather when all of a sudden a huge bag came down over the goose. And the little girl's mother had followed her, and she took the goose and she said, "We need this money so much. We're going to take the goose and sell every one of the feathers. And then when the new feathers grow in, we're going to sell all of those. And this is going to be how we're going to make so much money and move out of this difficult position that we've been in." And the little girl was so sad. And the goose was so sad, because to take out all of the feathers was a very difficult process. And the goose was left all kind of itchy and cold and sad. And the mother went, and the next day sold off all the feathers and made a bunch of money and came home, and she said, "Oh, all right, as soon as those golden feathers grow back in, we're gonna be rich." And sadly enough, when the feathers grew back in, the goose was not golden anymore. It was just a normal goose. And the little girl was secretly happy to see that the goose was normal, and she showed her mother. The mother was so mad, but they set the goose free. And we tell you that story, especially now, because in this moment that we're facing together, it really matters that we savor the things we have. One of the great gifts, one of the great blessings of this strange time have been we've been so stuck in smaller places, and I've been amazed at the way that I've noticed our gardens differently, that I've savored ice creams differently, that I've appreciated smaller moments. And sometimes we can be swept up in the bigger, better, faster, more that so much of our lives were about just a little while ago. And my hope for all of you and all of us is that we can savor one golden feather at a time. Amen. And so
I am so full of ice cream.
Oh, good. And so we have a special different kind of mailbag. Did you want to ask me your mailbag question?
Mailbag, mailbag, mailbag.
Do you remember what the question you asked me the other day was?
What?
It was about me and Mommy. Do you remember what it was?
How did you marry Mom?
Yeah. So Aaliyah, we were talking a little while ago, and she asked the story of how I met her mother. And it's actually very sweet, and we thought we'd have that as a mailbag question today. And I met Lauren many years ago when we were both congregants at the Arlington Street Church here in town. And we were both participants in a Buddha's Belly. It was a meditation group that read a book and sat twice a month. And it was really great. And we became quick friends. And we were really good friends for a very long time. And then years and years later, I knew I was going to seminary. She knew she was going to seminary. Or she figured out later she was going to go to seminary. But we were at school together, and we were really close friends. And then after I was in another relationship, which ended after 6 whole months of kind of being on my own for the first time in a very long time, she and I reconnected, and I realized really very quickly that she was kind of everything that I was hoping for, and we fell very much in love from then on. And pretty soon after that started
Ice cream cone, ice cream.
having all these children. And it's been very sweet. And then it is delicious. So yeah, please do keep the mailbag questions coming, and we will be back after our camping trip. Eat it? No. I think that's for you to eat. Yeah. Anyway, so thanks so much, and know that you're held and that you're loved, and know that this is a strange and difficult sometimes moment, but that there's a whole lot to be able to savor and appreciate. Oh, don't eat it off the floor. Oh my. All right, well, thank you so much. We will see you soon. It is. Can you wave goodbye? Wave goodbye to the people.